Guys, Anna-Marie Lombard, founder of Century Intelligence Consulting, speaking to you about our communications workshop. Now, communications is an interesting thing, and we know 80-20% principle also applies to communication with others, where 20% is what you say, but 80% is how you say it and non-verbally reading the other person that you are communicating with. So with all our digital engagements that we have now, it becomes pretty difficult to gauge what a person that you are communicating with want to portray to you, or what are the unspoken messages that you are not necessarily picking up. So just to start off with, when we started to do this, it was really, really interesting. If you have to have a high quality communication with someone online, you have to have your video on. That's so many people who say teams are feeling disconnected, but then they don't have a video on. Well, it's very, very difficult to connect with a team if you don't have your video on. And then look for the cues that we can see online, because they are there. Is what are the person saying first and foremost, but what are their facial expression? Look at the voice, the quality of their voice, or the speech that they are using, or the intensity that they have. We can also look at the amount of movement that they have. Are they moving on the screen? So there is quite a lot of cues that we can pick up on the screen from a communication point of view. And how do we learn to look at these cues differently in the absence of face-to-face communication, but in a digital space? I also feel video is critical when high quality engagement is necessary, but if it's purely operational, you just need to tick a box, then yes, for sure, switch your video off. But then the other thing is where we also talk about, in my opinion, the hallmark of great communication is stop, look, listen. Stop is get rid of all of our distractions. And I see this a lot. If you are online, someone else is actually busy doing something else on the sideline, then your attention is actually split. So stop, look, make that eye contact. And this is particularly necessary with your video on, and then listen. I think we will solve problems a lot better if we listen more and talk less. Anyway, there are some hints that we are using in our particular workshop. The other one is also how do we check in or check out with emojis. In a team in particular, this works really, really well. I love emojis, and I think the whole world uses them, but we can also use them as a check-in guideline to gauge where are your team. Particularly, this is for internal team. You won't necessarily do an emoji check-in with a client or someone new that you're meeting online. But it's amazing how the screen actually can be a very successful communication tool. I just think we really need to look at it differently and learn how to navigate all the visual and auditory cues that we are seeing on the screen. We hope to see you in our communications course. It is another practical, easy, and simple strategies and insights for you to make your communication online and in your remote world so much easier and better. On that note, take care and do stay safe. Cheers.